All right, everyone. Welcome to the PC Grand Finals of the RE7 Speedrunning Tournament here on lovely Speedrunners Arena. It's been one heck of a 3 months this has been, give or take, something like that. But we're finally here. Console's over. PC potentially ends tonight or continues. It depends on how Nix does tonight. We shall see what happens, but it ends presumably tonight. We'll see. It's been a long 3 months or so, something around there. Not 100% positive on that. When did we start? July 1st? I don't even remember anymore. It's been so long. But we're in the home stretch. I hope everyone's excited for this. We've got NixIssues versus HorrorDoesSpeedRuns. They're both excellent runners, and Nix here has crawled his way out of the Ethan bracket to get here. So Nix has done one heck of a job to get here, and Horror is undefeated going into this. So it should be really interesting to see these two go at it. Hope everyone's excited. It's going to be a great race. So we're just waiting out now to find out when the boys want to get started, hopefully soon. If not, it's either going to be in the next few minutes or it's going to be in the next 5 minutes, which is about a few. I don't know. Checking now to see if the guys want to get started early. Horror says he's ready to go. See what Nick says, and we might get this on the roll. All right. Nix agrees. It looks like we're going to get started right away, a little bit early. Speedrunners Arena doing the best job at getting everything prepared ahead of time so that we can just go when it's time to go. So good luck to both Nix and Horror, and we're about to get this underway in a few seconds. We got Nix on top, Horror on the bottom. Nix has also got a little Blame GGL in there. And we're off. This is it. This is potentially the last time in this tournament you will see this intro screen. So soak it in, Mia fans. Soak it in. It's been an amazing tournament with everybody. So it's really great to see these two runners for the PC bracket in the finals. Both of them are tremendously great RE7 runners. So. But this is Mia. She's the reason you're here. She's the reason this game exists. If it not for her, Ethan would not be going to Dulvey, Louisiana. Ethan would not be getting in trouble with the Bakers, and we wouldn't have this tournament. So thanks, Mia. We owe you one.
Ethan.
It's also really cool to see that both runners started at the exact same time. That I don't know if that's happened the entire tournament. Usually someone starts a little bit earlier than later. But they are in sync.
Such mich nicht.
So not a lot to happen here at the beginning. Everyone kind of knows it by now. Just a lot of navigating through the woods, but right now we're going to get a little bit more backstory. Ethan gets a message that says, "Oh my gosh, my wife is actually alive. I thought she was dead. I have to go find her in this random place."
Ich weiß nicht, tja. Ich weiß nicht wie. Aber sie ist zurück. Wieder zurück.
You would think Ethan would do like a little bit of like vetting and like find out like, hey, where did this email come from? Like, maybe I should like do a little bit of research before I go just jumping in the car, the Evil Dead car, and driving all the way to, you know, Dulvey, Louisiana. But regardless, we're here. So, like I stated earlier, this section is just mainly navigating, just making sure take nice turns, don't bump into anything, because it's pretty easy to bump into random shrubbery and whatnot. I don't know if anyone's ever played Blair Witch, but man, you bump into a lot of shrubbery in that one. Not as much, you know, not as much in this one. They're going to make their way over to the guest house. Everyone's favorite section of the game. Every runner has seen it 1,000 times, whether they've finished a run or not. They have gone through guest house. And there's our lovely Jack. So interesting. I know it has something to do with frame rate, but you can get a little bit of boost from Jack right there where you just don't slow down. The game wants you to slow down, and sometimes if your frame rate is wonky, you can just kind of walk right through. But I don't believe that happened for either Horror or Nix, so... All right, they're making their way into the guest house. And they're also going to come across the first retry. Yep. They're going to come across the first retry. One thing to note, also PC load time, much faster. If anyone's familiar with watching the console runs, night and day. So the reason for the retry is there's certain segments where the game slows you down to be atmospheric, but it was found out that if you retry in those certain sections, you put your average run speed back to normal before it slowed down. So it's really, really good to do that. Also, there's a lot of changes in frame rates that'll happen too with PC. Some of them will be to sneak across enemies, stuff like that. So just kind of squeeze through things a little bit faster. And that will not hurt their time because it is in-game time, and when you pause the game, the timer stops. Also, Nix is using an Xbox One controller, while I believe Horror is using normal keyboard and mouse. Which will give Nix access to certain tricks that console runners can do, one of them being the quick turn grab. Even though I don't think it's going to be that big of a difference between Nix and Horror when it comes to that. Don't quote me on that. But so here's the first skip. Both runners are going to look at the wall right here. When you look at the wall, a head won't pop out from under the water and will save you time. It's supposed to jump scare you, but we ain't getting jump scared, even though it is Halloween time. But we're not looking to get jump scared here. Wow, look at that.
Mia, Gott sei Dank habe ich dich gefunden. Ich bin's, Ethan.
Ethan?
So we found Mia.
Ethan?
She's alive.
Du solltest nicht hier sein.
Ethan's very happy,
Was meinst du?
I think.
Du hast mich kontaktiert.
I would hope so.
Nein, hab ich
But
nicht.
who knows? Ethan doesn't really have much of a personality, so you really can't tell if he's actually happy or not.
Hat dich jemand gesehen? Hat er dich gesehen?
Ja, wer ist noch hier? Was geht?
So after this section, the runner's going to play with their inventory a little bit. It's a huge part of running almost any Resident Evil, but this one in particular. And it's really unique how the inventory works in this one. Your cursor will remain wherever you leave it, except for when you go into item
Zu einem
boxes.
sicheren Ort.
So you'll see them delete the email because it's unnecessary, and then they'll put their cursor back on the bolt cutters because that's the next item they're going to use.
Wirklich schon 3 Jahre.
And it's also closest to the next item they're going to get. So it's really easy to swap over to the left to be able to access the fuse later on, which I'll get to when we get there. But But like I said, yeah, the cursor will remain wherever you put it. So in between character transitions, cutscenes, the cursor will stay there. So it's really important to know where your items are that you're going to use next. So you'll see the runners move their stuff around. It's really unique to almost each runner how they deal with their inventory. Usually for the first part, it's pretty the same across the board. Not everyone, but for the most part, it is. But once you start getting into later on in the game where you start collecting more items, you'll start to see runners have their inventory be put together however they like. So this is essentially an auto-scroller. If you play any old school games, you were familiar with that, where the game doesn't let you progress any faster than the game wants you to progress. So, like Nix is doing here, you got to do stuff to pass the time. So you'll spin around, you'll play with the bowl cutters, just do whatever. As long as you keep up with Mia, this section goes the same way every time.
Die Familie hat mir da Essen durchgereicht. Ich erinnere mich.
So while we're in this bit of a downtime, I want to talk about each runner's PBs for this category. Nix, who you see on top, his PB for this category is 128.09, while Horror originally had the world record for this category at a 127.48. I believe now it's Captain Ezekiel, I believe, has the world record on this now. I probably should have checked that beforehand. Yasi will be able to correct me, hopefully.
Ich kenne diesen Raum. Es gibt noch eine Tür hier. Ich bin mir sicher.
So here's a little trick. When you get into this room, you want to be as close to the door as possible, but far enough away and not looking at it so that the next sequence will play out. You've probably heard it before in other runs, but the game is very trigger-based. The game wants you to do a specific thing or have a specific item for the next sequence to kick off. And what each runner did right there was you stare at that wall because you're close enough to that doorway, you wait for a scream, and then you run out. If you're too close, that section, I'm sorry, that sequence will not play out until you correct yourself, and then the sequence will play out. And then both runners just putting their tippy toes into that bathroom because it's a disgusting bathroom. You really don't want to spend a lot of time in there. Getting in, getting out, that's it. That's all you need to do is just cross the threshold of that bathroom and then come running out, and you'll start the next sequence with Mia here. Important here, don't do anything. The only thing you're going to do is when Ethan stands back up, you're going to run toward Mia because you want to get this over with as quickly as possible. Other than that, you're not going to defend. The game's going to tell you to defend. Just don't defend. Just let her do her thing. Mia's in control here, and you have to accept it.
Ich kann sie hören.
So coming up here, Mia's going to bash her head into the wall a few times, and she's going to knock herself out. There's a few ways to do this. A lot of runners will either stay still and then just kind of wait for a few seconds, roughly 10, and then they'll inch forward a little bit, and then Mia will stand up. Some runners will find there's like a sweet spot to get her to stand up immediately. I believe that might be a PC thing, which obviously both runners are on right now. I think Horror, yep, they're both going for that. And the whole point is to get Mia to stand up on the earliest possible frame. So roughly 10 seconds. And they both got it really nice. And this is our first Mia fight. Get the axe and swing into those sweet Mia legs. Horror with the 2. Nick's having a little problem with Mia, but not too bad. Mainly, at the end of the fight, you want Mia to die in the hallway. The reason for that is, after you're done answering the phone, you're going to have to come through and grab that axe because the axe is extremely important for this next sequence. Well, next fight. You see both runners standing just far away enough from the phone, because if you stand too close, the phone won't ring.
Ich hasse solltest du rauskommen.
Dachboden.
Both runners still really close, even with Nix having a little bit of an issue with Mia. Not too bad. What, maybe like a second behind, if that? So they're going to grab the axe on their way out, and then I believe they're going to hit the next retry. Yep. So PC has a few more retries than console does. Console only has 3. PC has a few more. I'm not 100% positive on the number. I know some differences with the PC retries have to do with like appearing in another spot. You'll see it when it happens. But usually it's for increasing your max running speed. So I'm gonna grab the fuse, put that in the fuse box. Good fuse, nice.
Ist okay, ich bin's. Ich weiß, du
Both runners are extremely close. And here is the first indication of Sero D. So the Sero D version is a censored Japanese version of the game, which cuts some things out. And some enemies behave a little bit differently. I know Jack does later on. Not 100% positive on other enemies, but I know Jack behaves a little bit differently in Sero D versus North American version. But one of the big things is no body dismemberment or anything like that. So Mia here steals Raphael's sai and pins Ethan to the wall with it, and then attempts to cut off his arm with a chainsaw, but a really dull one because she doesn't cut it off. But there is going to be a section later on that actually is going to be a major time save involving a snake key. So they're going to go up, and we're going to encounter the last Mia fight. So on PC, you can kill Mia in one swing. It is pretty difficult, but it can be done. It's all about how you glitch into her. So you kind of clip into her, and as you swing, the movement of your axe, every movement counts as a hit. So it's similar to how the knife works in RE2 Remake. I know that's a big thing, changing the frames per second and stuff like that. So, ooh, Horror gets the one, and so does Nix. Awesome. Both with those one-shots, baby. Heck yeah. Really, really nice. Horror putting Mia in a nice, elegant pose. So this part's scripted. You just kind of have to wait. Just don't put your back against the wall and move around a bit. And then Jack will grab you and clobber you in the face and step on your head. I feel like that wouldn't knock you out, like having your head stepped on. Like, it would be one thing if he kicked like a soccer kick, but like no, he stomped on your head, and apparently that knocked you out. Go figure. So now we're getting dragged into the main house. Everyone says it. This is where the run really begins. And there is truth to that, because the guest house, everyone kind of knows how that one works. Everyone kind of plays it the same way. Now you'll start to see runners playing things a little bit differently to their strengths. So.
Wo bin ich? Was zur Hölle?
It's a good point, Ronnie. That could be the case. I mean,
Wer sind
Jack
Sie alle?
definitely looks like he hasn't showered in a little while. So now we're being introduced to the Baker family. To the left we have Lucas. In the middle we have Jack, who we did see a little bit earlier. And then to the right we have the lovely Marguerite. And to the far left, which you may not see, because I believe Nix and Horror are just gonna stay looking straight ahead, would be the grandmother. This ragtag group of characters here.
Das sollte ein ganz besonderes Festmahl sein. Komm her, Junge.
Yeah, Nix runs his game in German. So any audio language is going to be faster than English. I believe it's only like half a second or something like ridiculous like that. It's not a whole lot, but any audible language is going to be faster than English. Most people run in Japanese, but yeah, horror changes it up. I'm sorry, Nix changes it up. Oh, there's Grandma. So now you get to see her. Okay, so both runners are going to rock out of this chair. Look at that, dead even again. My gosh, what is this? And here comes the hallway. So let's get those prayers in chat. And hopefully both runners will be able to grab the key without Jack intervening. Nick's getting grabbed. Horror grabbing the key really nice. Horror had to deal with a swing. Nick's on his way out. Okay, so on the way in, Nick's had a bit of an issue. On the way out, Horror had a bit of an issue. So the whole point there is to grab the key. It's really dependent on where you are and how you're looking, how Jack will work. He might grab you. He might swing at you. It's kind of tough, and the way you're positioned matters. So it feels RNG, but allegedly it's not RNG based. But the whole point is to grab the key, and then you're gonna run to that door, touch the door, come back around, and try to make your way back through the hallway.
So, stimmt's? Wer zum Teufel sind diese Leute?
So we're still really even with both runners having one issue going in and then one issue coming out. Still really close. So they're going to their item box. They're going to get their New Game Plus items because this is New Game Plus category. What does that mean? I'll tell you. What that means is they get to use the items that they unlocked beating the game X amount of times. So they're going to use the Albert, which is the most powerful gun that's not the Magnum. I think the Magnum is a little bit stronger. It's just not viable to get in a run. They're going to use the circular saw, which is super overpowered, and they're going to use infinite ammo. Also, the walking shoes. My mistake. They're also going to use the walking shoes as well, which don't increase your running speed. They only increase your walking speed, but since we're running all the time, it doesn't matter. You might say, but if you're ducking, or rather crouching, and you're walking, your crouch walk speed increases. And there'll be another part later on, toward the end of the game, where the walking shoes will play a part as well.
Schauen Sie. Officer. Deputy. Genau. Deputy.
This is where we get into an argument with the deputy. He makes sure you know that because you need a weapon, even though you're loaded to the brim with defensive weapons. But you gotta ask for his gun, and he gives you a pocket knife because, look, I don't think a cop's just gonna give a random person a gun. That's just me, but I don't think that'll be a thing that'll happen. I'm surprised they gave him the knife. But that's the last we're gonna see of the knife. Gotcha. It's happening right there. Now that's the last time you'll see the knife. Unless you're Nix, in which you have world record in 2 knife-only categories. So then you'll be seeing the knife a lot. So again, this is part of the Zero D version. The officer's head does not come off. Let's see. both runners are going for what looks to be the Albert shot for Jack. So there's a few ways to do this. One of them is using the circular saw. That's probably the safest method. The method that Nix just pulled off very nicely and Horror just did now as well. If you take a shot at Jack while he's turning right, which is slightly faster, I think it's like a second, he'll crash into the right side, which is faster than if he went to the left side. So it's a much riskier strat, but both of these runners are very good at that shot. And plus, I mean, this is for the gold. So you're going to see both runners probably taking risks. It's important to note, if Nix wins, since Nix came up from the Ethan bracket, if Nix wins, it's not over. Nix has to then win a second time if he wants to take it all home. Horror only needs to win this one game. Both runners very nice, pulling off the picture frame there. Just spin that bad boy around really quickly. Console runners have to do a quick turn grab on that one. PC runners have it a little bit easier. They can manipulate that a lot easier with the mouse. But you turn the picture around, start unscrewing it, and then cancel so it drops back down, and then start moving the set of shelves, the shelving unit. And while that's moving, the statue is unscrewing from the picture frame at the same time. Oh, is that true, Ronnie? I did not know that. I did not know that Nix did that. All right, so now we're going to start collecting the dog heads. That is the main objective for this house. Or, yeah, this house. Because there's multiple houses on this compound. But now we're setting up for the riskiest strat of the entire game. That is out of bounds. So I hope you're all ready. Let's give them all the luck in the world, and hopefully both runners pull this off swiftly and smoothly. Alright, so Nix going for the pendulum, Horror same way. The whole point here is you want to guide Jack and keep him at just the distance, just far enough where he won't interfere in the next thing you need to do, but you want to keep him close that he'll still barge into the room when you're done. You also don't want him to break through this wall. I don't believe Nix killed him, and I don't believe Horror did either. I think they both got it. Okay, they both at least stopped Jack from getting into the room. If Jack is too close to the room, you can't interact with the shadow puzzle. Right, that's the other big thing is you can't forget head skill. And all 19 out of bounds. Actually, I don't know how many there are. All right, yeah, both of them got it. Really nice. Okay, so the next part here is you want to guide Jack up these stairs. Pop him in the leg while he's walking up them. And now, again, PC thing, they changed their frame rate so that they can squeeze right by Jack and then go to that wall, and then Jack's going to grab him and push him out. And both are out of bounds. Awesome. Great job, guys. Holy crud. They are close. Changing their frame rate back, and they're going to drop here. So out of bounds allows the runners to grab a specific item that you couldn't grab this early. It's weird because you're going to hold on to the item for the next quarter of the game. You're not going to do anything with it, but it's good to have it now because it saves you from having to go back into the basement a second time later on. So they're going to grab the dissection room key, and they're going to head to the dissection room, at which point we're going to run into our lovely friend, Jack, for the second time. One of the more annoying fights, and hopefully both runners have zero issue with this fight. But Jack has a lot of iframes in this fight. especially at the very beginning. He's going to drop you down, and he's going to drop down with you. And the idea is to shoot him in the head quickly before he grabs you, but not too quickly, at which point he'll have iframes. So it's really tricky. There is an audio cue, and there is a visual cue. So we'll see how both runners do with that. Har gets the shot, really nice. Nix gets the shot, awesome. Really, really nice. So then they're going to back up, Jackson and run. Nice. Look at that. That's crazy. And for the second shot, perfect on Har, perfect on Nix. Look at that. And Jack is dead on both of them. Wow. This is close. Man. So they're gonna make their way. I mean, it's. I gotta tell you, it's making it easier to call. That's for sure. They're both being so close. They're both gonna run out of this area, and they're gonna grab a key, and they're going to make their way out of this house. Nobody wants to be in this house. No one. You don't want to be in the next house either, but you definitely don't want to be in this one. I feel like that door can't be that heavy. Like, Ethan really struggles with that, like, sliding door. So again, like I said, menuing, really important. Right now, they're menued to this specific, was the Scorpion key. They're menued to it, and then you're going to see the runners, just like Horror did, just like Nix did. They're going to move their inventory to start on the dog heads, because that's the next item they're going to use. The big thing about menuing or doing any inventory is trying to do it when there's downtime. There's not a whole lot of downtime, but there are sections where there is. And that is one of them where the door is unlocking and you can't do anything. So you might as well take that second to get your inventory in order.
Meine Familie und ich. Unsere Körper sind kontaminiert. Ich kann ihn nicht weg, ehe ich es nicht aus mir rausbekomme. Und das Gleiche gilt für Mia.
Kann man es rausbekommen?
Wir brauchen das.
And then both runners have to trigger that phone call. To trigger that phone call, you just gotta get in, just a little bit into the trailer, and then quickly kind of turn back out, and then the phone will trigger to ring. There's only, I believe, 2 more phone calls that they're gonna have to answer. Is it 2? I'm trying to remember in my head. Is it 2 or is it 1 more? I don't remember. I think it's 1 more. No, I think it's 1 more.
Deine Mutter?
But the rest of them aren't mandatory. They just need to be triggered. So they just need to start ringing, and then the next section will, I guess, load in for the game. So they're making their way over to the old house. Marguerite's sweet bug bachelorette pad, even though she's married to Jack, so that doesn't make any sense, but work with me here. If you don't like bugs, just don't watch. Sahara very nicely getting past those nests. Nick's having a little bit of issue. Haha, see what I did? With the saw. But still getting rid of that nest, no problem. I think he had a little frustration that he let out with that Albert. So you see both runners have the saw ready to go, because normally these spiders are going to prevent you from getting into this spot. If you use the saw and press forward while holding the saw out and revving it, you'll just push open the door and kill the spiders out of there. If you do it incorrectly, you'll have to kill all the spiders that are on the door except for just pressing forward. So it saves time if you're just ready to go. Nick's having a little problem with the spider puzzle. No big deal. I hate that puzzle. Everyone says that the next puzzle, when you have to get the blue key card, is like the most annoying puzzle. I had the most trouble with that spider puzzle. I think it's 1, because I don't like spiders, And two, it has so many legs, so it confuses you. So, like I mentioned earlier, walking shoes. This is going to be where the walking shoes help you. You're going to be crouched down under this pit hole thing. And they're going to grab the crank, which is a Resident Evil staple, but they're moving much faster than if they weren't wearing the walking shoes. Gotta walk fast. I agree. It doesn't look like much, but if you play the game and you crouch walk and then crouch walk with the walking shoes, there is a substantial difference. It's actually like, it's kind of crazy. It sounds stupid, but. All right, so Haru's going to make his way past Marguerite. She's a little blind, but only in certain sections. So if you kind of move a little bit too far to the left, she'll see you. And if you aggro Marge, she will just send a whole bunch of bugs after you and annoy you this whole time. But luckily that did not happen to either runner, so really nice. All right, it's go time. It's Marguerite time. Watch out for the jump scare. Here it comes. There it is. I know there's going to be a delay on this audio anyway, so probably that already happened by the time I said that. So this is the pit fight. In the pit fight, it's pretty simple. They're going to shoot Marguerite once with the Albert, and then I believe 2 or 3 enhanced ammo pistol shots. 1, 2, 3. Yep. It has to be enhanced ammo, but it's 1 Albert shot, and then 3 G17 shots in quick succession. And to do that, you have to hip shot, aim, shoot, hip shot, aim, shoot. You have to find this little pattern with both triggers, but eventually you do. So you can shoot really quickly with that gun. So here's the other mandatory phone call. And now the lantern skip. So I'll try to explain it as best I can. The game wants you to walk up these stairs and check out the lantern and go, oh, a lantern. I know where I saw that. That weird lady had it. Where was she? Oh, she's in that pit I just crawled out of. Let me go check. And then you would see Marguerite trying to grab her lantern, and then you would know to continue. But here's the thing. That takes a lot of time. So instead, what the runners are going to do is they're going to walk by the pit, they're going to look up, and by looking up, they're actually triggering that section or that action they had to do of looking at the lantern, and then just walk off the pit in almost like a walking the plank fashion. They'll drop down, as both runners got it very nicely. They walk down, and the next section starts. You don't have to go through that whole rigmarole of looking at a lantern, and we don't need that. So both runners very nicely pulling off the lantern skip. And now comes Big Marge. Big Marge and her nest. It's the polite way to put it. So the whole point here, and you can see Haru doing it now, is to do as much damage as you can to Marguerite in the window, at which point the runners are going to turn around, and Haru gets it really nicely. And, ooh, next. Yeah, no, okay. So you do as much damage as you can to Marguerite in the window, at which point you're going to turn around, you're going to go back into the room, and you're going to do, depending on where you're looking, will be the opposite of where Marge will spawn. Excuse me. So if you look up, Marge will spawn down on the floor. If you look down, Marge will spawn above you. And then the next point there is to do as much damage as you can. Then she'll do a little bit of a hop. When she's in that hop animation, don't do anything. She'll land, and then she'll scream. When she screams, at which point then you will take the saw and saw her. And that should kill her. You don't want her to jump up on the ceiling. Unfortunately, that's what happened to Nyx. She jumped up on the ceiling, and that'll slow you down. Flurb, contain yourself. Regardless, still really good fights from both runners. Horror just didn't get the jump, so Horror will take the lead now from that. But it's kind of amazing that it took that long for the lead to break. So, but it doesn't matter because anything can happen in this game. So there is a chance that Nyx will take the lead from Horror at some point. That's what's really fun about this game. So now they're going to grab the arm that they need. The thing with the arm is you got to combine it with a head, and then somehow in a blender, you make a serum. I don't know. Zoe knows how to do it. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but apparently those are the two things you need.
Oh mein Gott, ich schätze, das ist er.
So Nick's grabbing the arm, really nice. I believe the retry there is for the molded to spawn. I could be wrong though, but I think the molded one, because I know on console that molded that pops out that door, sometimes he won't show up right away and you still can't continue even if he's not there. You have to wait for him to spawn. All right, so Horror is now heading back to the main house because, you know, we have to. But really nice trick here. Horror is going to touch the corner of this trailer, at which point a phone call will start. And normally the game wants you to answer that phone call, but you don't need to. The game just continues on after that. So by touching the trailer, that triggers the phone call to happen. And then you can just go right into the house. If the phone call doesn't happen, the phone doesn't ring, the next part won't happen. And then you'll go down into the basement and nothing will have changed. So this is one of the, or really the big benefit to having the Sarah D version is grabbing this key from the now deceased deputy. Normally in the North American version, there's this whole animation where you have to stick your hand down the dude's throat into his body and grab the key. In the Sarah D version, it's just laying right next to him, easy to grab. So this is the main reason why runners will use Sarah D. And now they're going to need to be getting the key cards. But wait a minute. They already have one, you say. You're right, they do. But they, again, like I said, this game is trigger-based. So Horror right now is going to activate the trigger for having the red key card. If you do not do this clock puzzle and open up the bed to move off to the side, you're going to soft lock the game if you put the red key card in there in the next section. You need to activate that puzzle or the game will not allow you to technically have that card. See Horror doing another example of you have a few seconds, move your inventory around. He moved his red key card over because the next spot is going to be blue. So that means that's going to be the first key card he places into the upcoming door. And again, that's arguably the hardest shadow puzzle. It needs to be pretty precise. That's why people say that. So, and in reality, they're not wrong. It is a pretty annoying shadow puzzle. Wow, Nick's got it really quick. Yeah, Flip. I mentioned that before. Yeah, Nix does use a keyboard. I'm sorry. Nix does use an Xbox One controller. So he's close to us console runners, but a little bit better because he's running on PC. So I don't know, but so hard putting in the key cards, and now you get a little bit of downtime. A little bit of downtime. You get to sit at a TV and watch Lucas be a lunatic for a few seconds. Or a minute or two. I don't even know how long this is. You know what? That's a good way to put it, Ronnie. A console runner benefits. That's actually a really good way to put it. So Nick's putting in the key cards, and Nick's heading up to the Lucas section now, too. So still really, really close. If you're squeamish, don't watch. Because Lucas does pull his fingernails out of his finger with pliers. I know there are a few people in this community that do not like this part. Yes, that's true. It's important to know. Nix did run console for a while, but he switched over to PC. So that probably is why he still uses the controller. I don't want to speak for him. But. Some people just get comfortable with how they play with that. I can easily relate to that for sure. So this is usually the good time to, like, if you're running this, to go grab a drink or go to the bathroom, because this is long enough for both of those things. Is that what you think, Ronnie? Is Nix's controller his weighted training clothes? So that, you know, if he wins this round, he takes the controller off and starts using mouse and keyboard and then gets like crazy world record. Is that what you're saying, Ronnie? Because that could be a thing. All right, horror is done with the Lucas section. Now they're gonna shoot out some bombs. These bombs are very annoying, and they're very annoyingly placed. Horror taking out those first two, no problem. Had a little issue with the first one. Ooh, takes a hit. Yikes. So the one thing to do there is to kind of look at the bomb when you're going to block it. There's a chance he might have thought he actually got... So there's one in the door, essentially, and he might have thought that he did take the shot and get it, so he just kind of walked through. It happens to everyone. That's one of the more... Probably the most annoying shot to take. But Nick's getting through there with nary an issue. Really nice.
Ich weiß. Scheiß Passwörter, was? Probier doch mal 0814.
And then here comes the item boxes. Apparently that is someone's worst enemy. I don't know who, but it's someone's worst enemy. They're also only going to take their New Game Plus items. So the really good thing about New Game Plus items is you can just delete them from your inventory and they'll go into the item box. So there's going to be a section coming up after this fight where they're going to dump their New Game Plus items, because after this section, you can't have any items. Ooh, hard taking another bomb drop. Yikes. Missed that shot. It's a tricky one, too. But yeah, they take the New Game Plus items. Some of it's also to when you're going to put the items away, when you dump them back in, it pushes around your inventory in your item box. So knowing that makes it a little bit easier when you're going to grab the items back out. Because they definitely don't need the walking shoes here. I know that is really about inventory placement that lands in the box later on. So they're going to take out this fat molded. I believe it's 9 shots, something around there. That might have been, what was that, 7? Was that 7 for horror? Is FC 9? Alright. Either way, it's been a while since I've played this. Horror and Nix both very swiftly taking care of that fat molded, and we're back to being even more close to being even again. I like how I used even twice there. I think the 2 bomb drops definitely put Nix in a better position where he's much closer to horror now than he was, for sure. But this next section, they dumped all their items because they don't need them. I don't know if horror forgot the passcode there, but it's always 1408. So no matter what, it's always going to be 1408. Unless you entered it in early, and then the game goes, hey, you're being cheeky, and then changes it to another passcode. I guess horror forgot? I don't know. So this is, I've said this before, this is one of my favorite parts. The escape the room puzzle. This is really fun if you're playing it casually. I know I say this every time, but this is a lot of fun. This is arguably one of the better puzzles in the entire game. There's a whole lot more to it. Nix and horror are going to, as most speedrunners do, will cut it down to being as useless as possible. But there's a whole lot to this puzzle that's really, really fun. 3, 5. Okay. Sorry, you have to count. Every runner does it. And if you don't do it, you're lying. When you have to count to 5 for each section of the loser part. All right, so they got the valve. I'm going to shut that water off, and then we're going to get a big old explosion. I hope it's someone's birthday today, because happy effing birthday. So the bomb's going to drop. They're going to put the bomb in the wall, and they're going to wait. If you wait to the left of where you put the bomb in, the wall will explode, but it won't hurt you. The whole reason why, I don't know. I guess the hitbox for damage just doesn't happen to the left. I guess they just assumed no one would stand so closely to the left. But the big reason why we do that, other than not getting hit, is you want to run into their room as quickly as possible. By doing so, you skip an animation where Ethan starts coughing, and like he puts his hand up and it slows you down. If you can get through that room quickly, you just skip that whole animation. Wow, I looked away for a second and both runners had gone to that item box in no time. That's crazy. So they went to their item box and got the items that they needed. I looked away for a second. So then make your way through the dock, avoiding a few enemies, maybe killing 1 or 2. Depends on how annoying they get. So coming up is going to be one of the probably the biggest fight in the game. It is Jack 3. And yes, that is true. This is where it can become anyone's race. This fight can be, even when you've got it down really well, there are still little things that can happen that can hold you back a little bit. I'll kind of explain a little bit. So, well, it's a bit more visual, but there's a part where Jack, depending on where he's situated, can kind of keep you from going to the other side of him. That can hold you back quite a bit. Horror forgot something. Oh. Did it? Oh, okay. No, he didn't. Okay, he's just letting it go. Okay.
Hey, eins davon ist meins.
My mistake. Crisis averted. No, you meant it, and I know you didn't. It's okay. Is that actually a new strat, or am I actually just dumb? Okay, whatever. Let's go into the fight. So the big thing about this fight is it's predicated on one single shot, which Horror just got and Nix just got. It's the undercarriage eye. And if you miss that shot, it can really hold you back, and luckily both of them got it. It really is like the most important shot of the game. Not of the game, but of this fight for sure. And then at which point they will make their way around his grotesque body and pop every eyeball that they can. I believe Horror is done, and Nix is also done. Really nice. Both runners, really good Jack 3 fight. Really good. Yeah, I was completely unaware of that new strat. No idea. See, even people who do run the game sometimes will still learn things. So, if you're interested in running this game, I think you should check out the RE7 Discord. Everyone in there is really good at the game, and they'll help you out. It's a really fun game to learn. So, they're gonna inject Jack and finish him off, unless you play the end of Zoe DLC, which you did not. But for the main game purposes, you did.
Geht's dir gut?
Ja.
And this is also where you are put forward, or what's put forward to you is a choice. It's the only choice of the game, really. And it does actually impact the game and the ending. But you have to choose who you're going to cure. Excuse me, Mia or Zoe. For speedrunning purposes, you're going to cure Mia. Because if you don't, you're going to have to fight Mia another time later on. I know some people are saying, well, I'd rather cure Zoe. Zoe's baby girl. I get you. But that's just not the way we're going to do this.
Ist okay. Ich war dumm zu denken, ich könnte fliehen. Aber Zoe, geht. Geht schon, ihr beiden. Komm mit uns. Es gibt sicher jemanden, der helfen kann.
Oh, there's another strat that I'm unaware of. Thanks for sharing.
Ich werde Hilfe schicken.
Brauchst du nicht. Es wird niemand zum Helfen mehr hier sein.
They're still really close. This is nuts. Well, now we get another unskippable cutscene. You can only skip one, and that'll happen later on.
Ethan? Vielen Dank.
but both runners
Wie ich
are
denn sonst wählen soll.
insanely close. Yeah, only a few seconds apart. That's after everything that's transpired for the last, what, 56 minutes, not even a full hour.
Mia,
This is
ich weiß, was wir falsch gemacht haben.
really close.
Wir müssen reden. Du hattest was damit zu tun, nicht wahr? Sieh doch. Ich will nur die Wahrheit wissen.
Ethan, ich erinnere mich wirklich nicht.
Versuch's.
Not a lot's really going to happen here. So this next section is you're going to turn into Mia. Because everybody wants that. You turn into Mia. Well, you don't turn into her. You take control of her, really. But you take control of Mia. And you're going to make your way through this big boat.
Was zur
The
Hölle war
beginning of this section with Mia is really, really similar to the beginning section that you play as Ethan. So
Was zum Teufel?
think of the boat like another guest house, because that's how similar it is. There are a few skips that will happen, which I'll get to when we get there. One of which is really important. This is Yassi's favorite section, by the way.
Wie?
So again, just like guest house, it's just a matter of how you're, how you're taking corners. There's not a lot that happens in this first section. Just kind of follow the path. Stuff will kind of play out or slow you down. Unfortunately, there's no retry skip in this one, or not skip, but there's no retry that'll, speed you up a little bit. Also, this section is notorious for getting people turned around because a lot of the interior is pretty much the same because it's a boat. But this part can definitely confuse a lot of new players. You can get turned around pretty easily.
Was war das?
This is also we get some more backstory on what happened to Mia. That's really what this whole section is. It's explaining why Mia got kidnapped. Runner's doing a little bit of menuing here just because there's not a lot that happens here, so you have downtime. So they're getting ready for the next section, at which point they'll grab the fuse, which again, how convenient, similar to guest house. And it would be nice if we had the walking shoes for this section, because I hate this section. So both runners hitting the retry there, which then puts them exactly where they need to be. It's a really nice. That's a really nice skip too. Plays in really well with also PC loading immediately rather than console, which would have taken forever.
Erinnerst du dich? Was? Was bist du?
All right, so they're gonna head up this ladder, and they're gonna go grab the fuse. Well, almost. They're almost there. Oh, Horror getting the quick animation. I believe Nick's got it as well. There's a quick drop animation that can happen every so often, and Horror definitely got it. I don't know if Nick's got it. So gonna grab this fuse, hopefully not get swiped, because that molded can be a little tricky sometimes. Horror getting out, no problem. And Nick's the same. No issues. No cheap shots. Everybody played nice. GG's all around. So this game, throughout it, wants you to check out these VHS tapes, because the VHS tapes are really important to the game to kind of tell you things that are coming out. There's a lot of foreshadowing, stuff like that, for certain puzzles and whatnot, but none of them are mandatory. This is the only VHS tape in the game that is mandatory, because it takes you back and you play as Mia in the past to see what happened when the boat crashed. And here's Alan. Everybody loves Alan, and by everybody, I mean no one.
Und es ist schon zu weit fortgeschritten.
Yasi, you're a liar. I'm calling you out. Nobody likes Alan. But speaking of Alan, try to explain the Alan skip. There's going to be a section coming up very shortly after this, where the runners are going to go into a room and they're going to interact with Evelyn's mold that is all over the room in the kitchen. If they can interact with it, turn around, and exit the doorway quickly, they will not have to answer a phone call from Alan. When you're on a phone call with Alan on your smartwatch, you move really slow and you can't interact with doors or anything like that. So the runners are going to open the doors, interact with the mold, quickly turn around and get out of that room, which will then, for whatever reason, negate the animation and negate the call, which saves, what, like 15, 16 seconds, something like that. That phone call is stupid long. Alan talks forever. And both runners got it. Really nice. So now they're going to go back to the item box, get some of their New Game Plus items. This is one of those situations where you have to wait for the elevator anyway, so you might as well go grab the items that you need now, since you have to wait anyway. Oh, Horror having to deal with the molded. Oh, look at that. So that's a nice little contrast. So the way Horror killed that molded, he moved around a lot. When he moves around a lot, he has this long death animation, and if that happens, the elevator doors won't close until the molded stops moving. So Nix was able to kill him in a way where he stopped moving immediately when he died, whereas Horror, unfortunately, killed him in a way where he kept moving. So Nix was able to have the elevator doors close immediately. Now, moving on, they grab the bombs, and they're going to be setting up for the next Alan skip, DD skip. It's got 8 billion names. I don't know what it is. Bomb skip, whatever. So similar to the Alan 1 phone call, you want to try to skip that phone call. Now, you can't skip this phone call that's coming up, but you can help alleviate some of the pressure that that phone call gives. So you're going to take the phone call, and the runners are going to be moving quicker because they were having the walking shoes. I think they should have them. If they don't, I don't know, but they should have them. And they're going to detonate the bomb that they placed by the door at a certain time, and they're going to propel themselves through the door. Like I said, you can't interact with doors or open them when you're in a phone call. But if you blow yourself through it, you didn't press anything. The bomb pushed you through it. So that will essentially skip the phone call. And Nick's getting it really nicely. And Horror got the not as good one. So he still got it. Nick's got a much cleaner, nicer one, whereas Horror's was, instead of being propelled through the door, he was propelled onto the door, but when he stands up, the door still opens. So it's like a half version of what Nix got. They both still pulled it off, but Horror's wasn't the full version of that skip. Also, unfortunately, Horror did take a lot of damage from that too. That's the downside. If you do it the wrong way, you do take a good amount of damage. Nix, on the other hand, didn't. So, really, really nice. And with that, Nix is pulled ahead. So, just like I told you, anything could happen.
Die Notfallverriegelung wurde aktiviert.
Like I said earlier, if Nix wins, this will not be the last game. Nix has to win a second time against Horror. Now, as far as I know, that wouldn't be immediately after. I mean, I don't actually know that, but I would assume the second round, if it were to happen, would be scheduled at another time. All right. Nix is now getting close to finishing up this spot. Horror right behind him. Here's where we get to see Alan. Guess what, everyone? Everyone who likes Alan, pay attention, because he dies. Breathe it in, Alan lovers. Breathe it in.
Sag sowas nicht.
This is all Alan's fault.
Dir vertraut sie. Das kleine Mischstück. Nie hat sie... Okay. Ivy, nein, Ivy! Ivy!
Alan, hör
Ich hab's nicht so
zu.
gemeint!
Sie versucht, die Kontrolle zu übernehmen. Du musst sie bekämpfen.
Also, just before he throws up, he looks like he's about to sneeze.
Evelyn, stopp! Hör jetzt auf!
Get a nice shot of Evie's sweet Hot Topic boots. And now we are back in the present. No, we're not. No, we're not. Sorry. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. We're about to be. Both runners are going to make their way through the next part of the boat, at which point they will also get to the only skippable cutscene that is in-game. The other cutscenes at the end you can skip, but those are the end.
Wir werden für immer zusammen sein.
Nix propelling himself, that's another strat. I don't see that used too often. Oh, okay. So it's, I don't know exactly how much time that saves. I don't know it doesn't save too much, but you're pushing yourself forward into the running man, which then triggers the next part of the cutscene. So yeah, it's a few frames, so not it's more flashy than I think anything. It is a cool thing to do for sure. All right, so now we're present Mia. We're gonna go up the longest ladder in the world. If anyone watches wrestling, it's similar to when someone will climb the ladder for Money in the Bank and take an hour to climb up it. That's very similar to how this ladder is. So the whole point here is the elevator's not working. Well, we need to get the elevator working. And to do that, you need pieces. One of them is a fuse, and we know where that fuse is because we used it earlier. and then the other part is a set of cables. So in this section, also neither of the runners are, they're not going to be going to the item box because nothing really gets in your way all that much. You can avoid every enemy in this next section as present Mia, so there's no real reason to go to your item box at all. It's just a waste of time. All right, Nix. Is he going to get God Door? Oh, Nix with the God Door. Heck yeah. So God Door. Is Horror going to get it? Are we going to get 2 God Doors in one run? Oh, inconceivable. So both runners got a God Door. What is God Door, you ask? Well, that door normally closes before or anytime after you grab the corrosive that's in that room. If you're able to get, you open the door as late as possible, right? And then you go into the room, grab the corrosive, and quickly turn around and get out the room. The door won't close in time. Usually the door closes like just when you get to it. So we call it God Door because it's so hard to get. But both runners got it in a race, in the finals. That's dope. This molded's funny. I like this one. He tries to swipe at you while you're trying to use the corrosive, and he just doesn't do anything. I feel bad for the guy. He really does try. Horror did grab the knife. So there's a reason why Horror, I believe, grabbed the knife. So that molded that I just made a joke about, sometimes he'll hang out in that doorway and stop you from moving forward. If you don't have any items, you have to guide him out. Having the knife makes it a little bit easier to just kill him as opposed to having to guide him away from that door. So Nix not having any problems there. I'm trying to avoid saying the word issues after Nix, but it's tough. And Horror having no problem with it either. So. Nix putting in both pieces of the elevator, activating that bad boy. Horror right behind. They are still really close.
Erwartet.
So this is a fun little part. You're just going to avoid a whole bunch of molded. Do some sweet moves. Ultra Instinct style. No thinking, just moving. It's okay to take a few hits here. It's not that big of a deal. There's not a lot that can happen here. So, like I said earlier, PC runners will change their frame rate so they can squeeze by enemies. On console, that doesn't need to happen. You can just squeeze by them. But that molded that's spawning on the stairs, you can squeeze right by him if you change your frame rate on PC. So.
Ich will, dass du etwas für mich machst.
And Nix made it to me. Ethan. Jeez. It's like I've never played this before. And Horror has as well. And now comes
Ich weiß. Ich werde dir nichts tun. Ich hätte nie
the
getan, wenn ich die Kontrolle
cutscene.
gehabt hätte.
So this is when we learn that it's actually not the baker's fault. It's actually Evie's fault. She's the one that's been controlling them the whole time. And Jack's not such a bad guy. Even though Zoe doesn't seem to really take too kindly to him, but that's a whole nother story.
Was zur Hölle ist sie?
Also,
Was hat sie euch
it
angetan?
wouldn't be a tournament commentary if I didn't mention the TV is gone. The TV that you saw earlier is gone. No one knows where it is.
In einem gestrandeten Tanker im Bayou. Danach hat sie
Also,
alles
Jack's shirt doesn't cast a shadow
Sie hat euch
behind him.
infiziert und die Kontrolle übernommen?
Nein. So einfach ist das nicht.
But this is another break usually for runners. Well, they'll grab themselves a little beverage,
Und deine Seele.
wipe their hands down because they're all sweaty.
Du kannst dich nicht.
Unless you're Mar, in which case you have gloves and you don't need to wipe your hands
Du
down.
bist mit ihr verbunden. und hast einfach diesen Drang zu. Du bist danach ein anderer Mensch.
Genau wie Mia.
It has been neck and neck like this whole race. Every time one runner, I don't want to say screws up, but I get that might be the best way to put it. But screws up a section, the other runner pulls ahead, and then all of a sudden that other runner screws something up, and then the other runner comes back. So this has been really, really close this whole time, and it's been a great race to see.
Befrei meine Familie. Bitte.
Evelyn, lass die Finger von ihm.
Warum? Er liebt dich nicht. Ich kann ihn dazu bringen.
Tu ihm nicht weh.
Dummchen, ich hab doch gesagt, ich werde ihm nicht wehtun.
Wag es.
So now we're back to being Ethan, and this is the home stretch. We are nearing the end of the game.
Erinnerst du dich?
You get to control Ethan again. This is also where, if you did pick Zoe to cure her, this is where you would fight Mia again. In a similar fight to Mia 1 and 2, but this time you're using a crowbar, I believe. But the fight would be pretty much the same.
Wir haben keine Zeit. Du musst hier raus und sie finden. Hier, nimm das.
Was? Was machst du da? Was machst du da?
Rette dein Leben. Du musst gehen. Ich kann mich ihr nicht mehr lange widersetzen.
Nein,
Los, bring das kleine Miststück um.
nein, nein. Mia! Nein! Okay, kleines Miststück. Wo zum Teufel bist du?
Excuse me. All right, Nix is now in control of Ethan. Gonna duck under that fence. Gonna head out into weird, swampy, fishy land. That'd be a weird Mario level, right? Weird, swampy, fishy land. Yeah, that's the important thing to note, is that at the end, what matters is the in-game time. So the amount of time that either runner has spent in pause, Ross actually just brought this up in chat, the amount of time that the runners have spent in pausing and not can fluctuate where their standings are, so against each other. So the in-game time is really what's important. Nick's grabbing the backpack. So this is a strat that I'm unfamiliar with. Nix grabs the backpack and the grenade launcher and nothing else. So I'm curious to see how this plays out. This is new to me. And Hard did the same thing. So apparently they just grab the items later. I have yet to see this. So this is actually really, really cool right now. Which is good, because then if I don't have to grab an item there, then I won't have to accidentally save. Alright, so they are now in the underground cave as opposed to above ground cave. Essentially it's an underground laboratory because it's Resident Evil, and why wouldn't there be? So it's tough to call because they're doing a little bit differently. Normally the runners will have grabbed their items in that item box when they grabbed the grenade launcher, but this time they didn't. So they're focusing mainly on just the one grenade launcher shot that they have to make their way through this area. In fairness, there's not a lot you need to do enemy-wise. You only really need to really kill one, which they did already. And I'm assuming here they're going to take the block. Yeah, they're going to take the block for that bomb, and then they're going to grab the items after this next part, which is pretty cool. I did not know about this, so this is the first time me seeing this, so it's really neat. This was not a strat that was used earlier in the tournaments, which is really, really cool that within those 3 months, this is a completely, not completely, but this is a new strat. So that's really cool. Ah, I see. Okay, so they grab it when they're waiting for the serum to be made. That's really cool. Awesome. So normally you have to wait for the necrotoxin to form and you just kind of wait there and then grab it, right? Sometimes you'll play tricks with the grenade launcher. Yasti. But normally you just kind of wait there for it. But they use that time effectively, which is awesome.
Scheiße!
So this is the other retry, and this is the one of the more important ones and the most noticeable one. So like I said, it's more of a speed boost, technically. You reset your max running speed to where it should be. This is where it comes in the most handy because you are zooming by here. It's actually kind of nuts. If you try it yourself, try to compare the two, and it's night and day. It's really cool. So both runners pretty much not having too much of an issue going through there. Nix is ahead in this section. Horror having a little bit of a hard time with those two molded right there, but it's okay. Runners will kind of, you know, go through different weapons in that section. Some people will heavily favor one weapon, some will switch. The neuro round there is used to stop those two fat molded from puking on you so that you can go up that ladder and not have a darn problem. Because if you don't, then you're going to get puked on and then you're going to fall off the ladder and then you're going to get mad. And it's a whole big thing and you just don't want that. Oh, look, we're back in the guest house. Surprise! This is where the beginning happened. So technically we have 3 guest houses in this game. We're kind of reliving what happened about an hour ago. A little bit more than an hour ago. Hour and 20 minutes ago. No, about an hour ago. Hour and 20 minutes. Yeah. But not a lot to happen here. Just trigger these sections, and then you're going to go up for the final fight.
Du wirst einer von uns werden. Und dann spielst du vielleicht mit uns.
Also, Evie doesn't like needles.
Nicht.
Nein! Schaff das weg von mir!
All right, so this is the last time save that can happen. It's the 1 cycle with Evie. If you can position yourself correctly and go in on a certain angle, you can reach Evie after 1 of those sonic blasts and immediately start injecting her. And Nix gets it really nicely. Let's see if Horror can get it. Horror looks like he might be doing the bomb strat. You can do it without it, as you've seen with Nix. But I believe the bomb strat is a bit safer. I thought he didn't get it there for a second, and he got it. Awesome. It is slower, yes, but it also is pretty safe. So This fight is simple. There is nothing you need to do. Just shove the saw in Evelyn's face. That's all you gotta do. It's a real tricky fight, actually. A lot of RNG in this fight. Anything can go wrong.
Ich bin jetzt ein großes Mädchen.
All right. Both done with phase 2, I guess, of the Evie fight? Yeah, I guess that would be phase 2. This part here, nothing happens. You pretty much just wait for Evelyn to pick you up. You can shoot at her, you can do whatever, and she's not gonna budge. But it's important with Nyx right now, and also with horror coming up, that you cut yourself down immediately. And Nyx dropping. And then our good buddy Chris Redfield is going to give us the same gun we had. And you're going to fire shots into Evelyn. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. And Nyx is finished. Horror is going to be doing the same momentarily. Time does not stop until the screen starts to fade. But no matter what, the fights are done. And Horror is done. GG's to both runners. That was stupid close. So now we're going to get the in-game times. Okay, Nyx's matches his time, 128.11. Let's see how Horror does. 128.11. Well, that beats no, it doesn't. Never mind. Do we go on to a second round? We're going to find out. Oh, we do. Nyx by 6 seconds goes on to face Horror again, keeping this alive. So we're not done. That is fantastic. That's crazy. 6 seconds. That's really, 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 really close. Congratulations to both runners on that one. And congratulations to Nyx for keeping the dream alive. So I don't know if we're doing interviews or not. I believe we are. I believe Nyx is coming in. I don't know about Horror, though. Hello, Nyx. Oh, not yet. Not yet. He wasn't ready. So I guess we're deciding on whether or not they want to go round 2 immediately.
Did you guys hear me? Hello?
Okay, so Hara's saying he wants to do it another day. Nix, is that my fault that I can't
Oh,
hear you?
another day.
That could be my fault. Nix?
Hello?
Oh, see, I can't. See, that stinks now. For whatever reason, I can't hear him. Hold on. Gosh darn it. Why is that happening? My apologies, everybody.
I'm not
Yeah.
using my mic. I'm using like my camera mic right now.
Oh, there we go. Now I can hear him.
Yeah, how's it going, dude?
Hello.
Yo.
Oh, and Hara's here too. Hello.
There you go. Perfect timing.
That was such a close race. Oh my
It was
god.
really close.
Oh man, that was crazy. Can't believe that.
Yeah, you guys were neck and neck. I would say almost the entire race. There were moments where one would pull ahead, but then immediately right after, someone would start to come back, and it was close the whole time. Really, really good.
Horror, I think if you can type in Discord !done.
Done. Okay.
Yay with a 134. But yeah, congratulations, Nix. You like I said before, you're keeping the dream alive. That means we're going on to a second round with you two.
Oh
which
man.
won't be tonight, but it will be sometime soon.
Really exciting.
Big time.
Nix, how did you feel about your run?
My run, it was pretty bad. I messed up easy stuff on the hold on. Let me see. There's something missing here. Excuse me, guys.
It's okay. Instead,
All right.
Horror, how about you tell me? How did you feel about your run?
How did I feel about my run? I felt like I was pretty nervous at like the middle part of the run. I started making some casual mistakes, and then I think that's what allowed Nix to catch up. And I felt pretty good though, still with my run. Like I felt like I still played at my best. So
I think so too. I think really the thing that helped Nix pull ahead was the bomb section with Lucas.
Yeah, that's where I think I lost most time.
Yeah, and then the bomb skip with on the boat. That was like where those were. But that just goes to show you those tiny little moments is what gave Nix those 6 seconds, which is crazy.
Yeah, sure, definitely.
Nix?
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you feel about your run?
The beginning of the run was pretty rough. I messed up very simple things, and I saw Horror just doing everything correct. I was like, okay, time to lose. But then I was like, you know what? I need to stop watching how both of us are playing and just focus on my own run, and I did. And I still kept on messing up little things. Like I messed up a lot of interacting with locks and like locked doors and everything. I kept losing time off of that, and it's just a bunch of nerves. But in the end, I messed up Marguerite 2 very bad. I lost 10 seconds there.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's about it about my run.
That's, I mean, regardless, both runs were done really well. I mean, both of you runners are insanely good at this category and just this game in general. Horror formerly having the world record in this category. So both of you are tremendously good at this game, and it's awesome to see both of you in the finals. And you guys, this isn't the first time you've played each other. You've played each other earlier on in the round. I think it was round 2, I want to say.
Yeah.
And Nix, you worked your way through the Ethan bracket. Now you're back here in the finals, and you're pushing it to a second round. So you should be really proud of that. And Horror, you should be really proud for going this whole way through undefeated. It's been tremendous for both of you.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun for sure.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, big time. And just another, going back to that race where Horror beat me, I actually got destroyed. I think he beat me by like almost over a minute. So again, anything can happen in these kind of runs.
Yeah, for sure. Anything.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The underdog story right here with Nix. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
So,
I do want to say one thing.
yeah, absolutely, Horror.
About my run. I never really had good practice with that last strat where you pick up the items in the box, so I didn't have my Albert and my hotkeys like to be able to equip it. So I think that part kind of messed me up a bit too. I just didn't really have any practice on that, so I kind of just winged it.
Well,
How new is that strat?
That strat came out like I think last week. I would say like
okay.
almost 6 days ago. I'm just giving a guess there. But Horror, what I do for that trick, I get rid of the circular saw after the Jack 3 boss fight, after the second phase. And that gives me the Alberts into the 4 top slots instead of the, I forgot what it was. It doesn't give me something else in the top slots. That's what it is. It just swaps it out, and I have the Albert in my slots, including the grenade launcher, obviously, because you got the grenade launcher without going into the item box. So that's what I do, and I don't know if you could just play around with that.
Yeah, I'll have to play around with that for sure.
Yep.
Look at that, working out a new strat live right here in front of everybody. All right, guys. Are there any other final words you guys want to say about your runs or anything?
No, I think the only thing I have to say is gotta get ready for the next one. It'll be coming soon, guys. Be ready.
Yeah, just GG's Nix. I got outplayed.
Yo, GG's, man.
For sure.
Dude.
You crushed it tonight, so congrats.
Appreciate it, man. It was a good race by you two, dude. You kept it close.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that said, that's the end of the first round of the grand finals. The second round will be scheduled soon, so make sure to keep an eye on the RE7 Discord, where we announce the next parts of the race. And if you want to join and start running this game, join the Discord as well. And everyone here, including Horror, myself, Nix, Yasi, Ross, anyone, is more than willing to and more than happy to help you out for any new runners wanting to play this game. So join that, and also keep an eye on Speedrunners Arena for the next round. Thank you guys so much. It's been great. Thank you, Speedrunners Arena. Thank you, Yas, Nix, Horror, Venicus for the restream, everything. You guys are the best. And we'll see you in the final round of the grand finals.
Later, guys.
Good night, guys.